in the house tonight. What do I owe this pleasure just to be surrounded and serenaded by all men? My goodness. Wow. So I'm really happy to get started with this episode of Primally Poetic tonight. You know, we do this every Monday on Primal from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. And I think I would like to choose who I'd like to go first tonight. And I'm thinking A. Lopez.
Oh boy. Okay. So chose me to start it off, huh?
Yes, I did.
Well, okay. Well, then on behalf of everyone, I apologize for how I'm going to set the tone.
You're apologizing already? Oh, no.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it works out. All right. So if you are ready.
We are. You can start whenever you are ready.
The first poem that I would like to share is called A Living Tragedy.
Wow.
A living tragedy.
Okay.
You were like life to me. I was your cruise ship. You were my sea. I was your kettle and you were my tea. You were my sunshine. So, of course, I got up early. I took you as wife in holy matrimony. Was with you when God told my seizures to have to flee. Together in the church choir and in Bible study, we work constantly to encourage his body and live consistently as two servants, dedicated entirely to pleasing the Lord daily. Yes, we got tired, but I enjoyed that reality. Yet over time, you became merely a light whose source was fantasy. A lot of time had passed, but I finally had to take the time to see that you were simply a trap set to prevent my victory. Oh, how I wish I hadn't acted so blind. You didn't want me to be grateful to he who gave us to each other completely, caused me to willingly, sacrificially be the caretaker of my queen bee, and so give God his due glory. No, you wanted my crown and authority, wanted to be worshipped, literally, sought to switch our roles indefinitely. So our relationship went from actually being a thing that was healthy, mentoring others to preserve marital sanctity, loving each other respectfully, enjoying each other emotionally, sexually, physically, and spiritually, to being, glad that's a distant memory. As I refuse to continue to allow you to treat me abusively, which pissed you off and made me your enemy. And let's not be guilty of viewing these events one-sidedly. It's not like I played my role perfect. You weren't the only person to cause their spouse to be damaged heavily, gave the hurt and yet gave no remedy, or looked at the other as unworthy. We acted against each other viciously. More than once I had to live that I'm sorry. But where I knew I had to pay the hefty fee of getting back to living in humility, you kept it justifying your iniquity and attempted to get away scot-free. Well, that kind of living usually has divorce as a penalty. Perhaps that made you happy. Now that you've married somebody who only offers you his loyalty, not because he loves you passionately or even desires you as a wife to be his trophy, but because he's desperate, fearful, and lonely, maybe, like others in our society, you'll realize you've become a living tragedy.
Oh my gosh. Excellent.
You know, Elopex, it is such a true thing so many persons have gone through those types of relationships. Start out being together with each other, for each other, dependent on growing each other. And sometimes persons start to grow apart. Sometimes one person furthers his or herself and the other does not. And the roles change. The way the parties see each other change. What one wants from changes. And oftentimes it leads to the breakdown and break up that you spoke about. Harsh realities of life.
Yes, it is. It is harsh. And the prayer is that God can still work and do his thing and get his glory out of that.
Indeed.
The part that struck me was when you talked about injury without remedy. And it just builds. That lack of remedy, and the injuries build and they build and they build, and you described it perfectly when you start to just damage each other. And that's you hate it. You don't even want to be in it, but you don't want to do that to the other person, but you start doing it anyway.
Yes. I love when poetry turns into therapy, turns into people bonding over not unique experiences, like Chris was talking about. I really enjoyed, it wasn't really a joy to hear it because it tugs at your own heartstrings, but I enjoyed the fact that you were able to deliver it with such courage and affirmation and just your willingness to move forward in humility. And I like the way you breathe in the middle, like, phew, and that's what we need to do. We really need to do that. I'm a woman, I'll be divorced, I think, 4 years this November, happily divorced, made the choice to better myself and better my life after what Chris said, the relationship has done its course. And in my naivete, to me, it was only like women and my other female friends have gone through this. Never did I really think about what men go through in that way. So thank you for enlightening me. It's like we know, but do we really know until we hear that a man goes through similar things? And you even said in it, I'm not perfect either. You owned and I loved that, again, the humility that you put into that. So well done, well crafted, honest, genuine.
That was powerful. And the other thing about it, you said you were going to start us off in a rough way, but there was hope. There was hope. I heard hope.
There is still hope, having gone through that, I still have that hope. I still have that respect. Marriage is not a bad thing simply because mine did not work. It is simply something that I've had the unfortunate experience, like many Americans, many people in the world, that, have to learn from. And God willing, I have learned.
Right. You learn more about what you deserve, what you require, there's more of you to give to that right individual. So it is a positive, when you choose to do it the right way after, because the second time around, third time around, we don't want to just say, keep getting married and keep doing but I mean, it's true. You can find the love of your life after something like that happens. Trust me. Let's see what the chat is saying. It's all a buzz. We have Chris Townsend in the house. He's really feeling like his family is on display here.
Right. As a matter of fact, I blame Chris Townsend for that poem.
Do you?
Oh yes. He has taken the unfortunate step of saying that I am somehow his mentor and big brother, and I'm always mentoring him. Well, it's his fault because he kept coming out with his poetry, and you've heard him before, and how he gets. He narrows in on that laser beam of cut. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's what I got to do?
All right.
Okay, Chris, thank you very much.
I love that, when mentoring each other. So let's see. He says, wow, so personal. I got to welcome Church Boy to the chat room and to Primal. Welcome. Welcome to Primally Poetic. Queen D says, hey, Mom, says that is a tale of growing apart and falling out of love. David Geddes is in the house. Hey, David. Oh, my gosh, can't speak tonight. David says, loving it, well written and well delivered. Of course, all of my relationships have been perfect. Of course they have. David, it's you. Of course they have been perfect. We're all trying to live by you. Church Boy says, Chris, stomach not feeling great, listening. Oh, sorry, it's like a personal thing. All right, you'll see it. So thank you again very much. Can you move on to your second poem, please? That was awesome.
Poem number 2, very different.
Okay.
This poem is entitled The Heart Shot. The Heart Shot. I'd love to offer to bring that fire, but the aquatic vapor within the water cools the poetic. Instead, I'll keep it kinetic and spiritually chaotic by bringing Christian poetry that's acidic. Given by God's timing, it's epic. Relatable to all, it's classic. Now, no flips, but the wordplay is gymnastic. Well taught in his thought, see, I'm scholastic. Why dumb down his message, the biblical God is authentic. And I refuse to mimic the very stylistic approaches of other poets. I'm not putting down their efforts, just working on elevating my poetic aspects, designing each, refining each, making each like that hot knife through butter. Hold on. Selah. Pause. We can do better. Make each like a taser, or better yet, like a razor. No, wait, laser sharp as I cut with precision the biblical viewpoint into your vision. All are in need of Jesus' salvation. Hope you walk away with an appreciation for the infusion of that truth, for all else is an illusion. If you disagree, then kindly answer this question. What hope do you have in your person when faced with the elimination of peace, as there's no divine intervention and you have to pay for your own rebellion with nothing less than eternal damnation? I mean, are you placing yourself in the unending hot merely because you are not willing to acknowledge the power that God's got, that he says you're in the wrong spot? Or are you just mad you got hit by that heart shot?
Yikes. You always have that killer line at the end too. It makes you think, it makes you want to pay attention more, to be present in life, to do more than exist. And again, you always tend to weave your faith in there, which I appreciate because it just makes it stand out on its own as something originally unique to you. And I appreciate that.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. And of course, the way you deliver it, so much passion. I love it.
Yeah, that was that revised version we were talking about.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Urban Legend, what say you? Calling you out. Can you come on camera?
With Alopex, I love his word usage. His passion and his fervor for which he delivers is always effective in a way that is kind of hard to comment on. It's like it speaks to your soul in a way that holds you accountable.
Yes.
So
that's
I don't know, because it's like, man, why you gotta talk about me like that, bro? Like that.
Yeah, we take it personally. We take it personally. I felt like I was whiplashed the first poem he ever. I was like, does he know me? Oh my gosh.
Oh, I don't, but I know who does.
Yeah,
It's a necessary thing though, I
yes.
think. It feels so like he said it. He said it. What was the term? He wants to come not like other poets, but with the Christian vernacular that's more acidic.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely when you hear it on first listen, it does kind of burn a little. Like, it's like it stings, but in a healthy way.
A healthy sting. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have never felt a healthy sting before. Probably not tonight either. But yes, like it does make you want to be accountable. It makes you want to be your best self. And like I said, live in the present and notice things, notice our impact on people and what we're doing, how we're living.
I grew up in an old school Baptist church. I felt like I was 8 years old. That's how I felt like.
Okay, yes, sir. Yeah, we can go that route.
You gonna do some repenting tonight, Tim?
I don't know, maybe.
Oh gosh. Danny is new to the chat, not new to Primal, but new to Primally Poetic. We want to thank him and welcome him for coming back and joining the show. He says, just beautiful. Even if one has not been through that, just making it come to life through poetry is just spectacular. Great artistry. Absolutely. I definitely agree. Donna is in the chat again. Amen with prayer hands. Queen D says, love that wordplay. Love that wordplay is gymnastic. Such a passionate delivery. Yes, indeed, it is. All right, the last one. We are letting Abe Lopez do 3 tonight since we have 4 poets. He's doing 3 poems tonight, so this will be his last piece.
Okay. The last piece is entitled The Return. The Return. I am his servant. My actions and words are fervent and make my claim obvious and evident. But right now, to obey him isn't my intent. I became proud when he let me look brilliant. Despite my rebellion, his grace refuses to relent. Chastised, I still have an opportunity to repent. Until then, I no longer prosper. And how can I when I don't fight for the God who is the biblical creator? So in life, I stumble and wander. I fall and am victim to sin's plunder. But the Father would rather that none would suffer, but come and reconcile with the life giver. He says that if I confess that against him I transgress and put my trust back in his process, his person and promise, and stop allowing sin to have access, then he will forgive and invite me again to live. Demand that I remain submissive to the will of he who wrote each holy missive, the word of God, of which many are dismissive. I find that I can't obey my fleshly desires, and so I can't stay in the sinner's path and let Satan have his way. I refuse to be outside the realm of my God's mercy and my Savior's love. His sacrifice at Calvary, it still offers pardon, peace, and liberty. It brings me out of my vanity, out from my rebellious revelry. And quite clearly, it brings clarity to my insanity. It reminds me that I can yet be free. Master, I repent. Won't you bestow mercy, separate sin from self, and forgive me? It is then that I hear from he whom I fear and hold dear. The living word speaks into my ear, saying, I have because it is your heart that I hear. Return to me, my servant. Come near.
Wow. The voice of God. Oh my gosh. Another piece that just shakes you to your core. The accountability factor, you questioning your life and what you've been able to contribute, your impact on the world and what you're doing right and wrong, the different good and evil, all of that. It just makes you think, makes you become introspective. Great.
The relationship between a parent and a child, and how the parent sets the policies and the path, and the child supposing to follow, but more than one going off the path that had been set out for us. But in repenting, the loving parent is always there to take us back and to accept us and to forgive us and to allow our repentance.
Yeah. Beautiful interpretation. That's so true. I love that. Yeah. Someone writing in the chat, I'll just read it after. We can move on because it's still kind of loading. But I think that piece, again, was just amazing. There's another breathtaking piece, another shocking, your delivery, your wordplay. I was thinking about what Queen D said. Just magnificent. Oh, Chris's comment came through, says that all three pieces make you ask, who am I without God? We think our standards are good enough, but there is something higher. Well said. Well said. Yes, I would agree with him. All right. Thank you so much, A. Lopex, again, for gracing us with your words, your work, your heart.
It was an honor to share.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Tim, why don't you go next? It's been a while.
I will. I have two pieces tonight. Both are pretty short, but the first one I'm going to read, I think it's a good piece to go with after the first one we heard tonight, because the first one was about divorce, destruction of a relationship. And I don't know why I had this one queued up, but I did. It's about beginning anew.
Beginning anew? Okay.
Anew. So I think this works. It plays off that
it first. Does.
So let me read this one first, and then I got another one after that.
Okay.
This one is called Take My Hand. What have you walked through? How might it trace my steps? Where does it ring true? Two hearts meet with a chance to begin anew. Fear cannot steal your dreams or feed your doubts. Is there love on the air? This could be perfect just for you. The sun is setting over the distant hills. The night can come and do what it may, but a freed heart has the courage to find another day. Take my hand, even if it's dark. Morning will appear through the fray. Can a guarded heart again be free? Write a new song? Down the peaceful road in the light of the autumn leaves? Take my hand, it is strong and true, with the faith to stand by you. Dare I again dream about always, or does it matter as long as we have today? I'll let my heart go to hold on to the light in your eyes. Let your body fall into mine. Rest your head on my shoulder. For with you, it seems there is no time. Take my hand. Protect the future in its gentle release. Walk side by side, holding each other in subtle peace. Where does this ring true? Two hearts, new courage, the chance to begin anew.
Tim, new courage, new courage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that swept me away. Just beautiful, so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
That was good. I got to admit, sir, yeah, I have to agree with you. That was a very, very interesting pairing first. I especially like the little segue that you had in there, where you had this pastoral scene where you start at sunset, you like move it all the way through to the new morning. That was good, sir. I like that.
Yeah, I love that too. Even moving through the autumn leaves, through the change of the seasons, you're still each other's rock and you have peace. I like that, the term that you said, subtle peace.
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember the full sentence, but it struck me when you spoke about the freed heart, having the courage.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, yes, the freed heart, the courage will come after the pain and the separation and the loss and the not feeling worthy. And then the realization that life goes on back into the fray.
Yes, well said.
I mean, I'm a man of faith too. So when I think of the providential aspect of things, I think like I had no idea I was going to read that poem. And then after hearing that first one and thinking through the pain and the destruction and the hope that's there, and then you realize it once you get to that next place, it is powerful. I thank you for that first poem, because I feel like it set that up perfect. Mm-hmm.
It always astounds me, no matter who is a guest on the show, somehow your poems align, no matter who it is. It's like we join together and you're supposed to basically deliver what you deliver. It happens all the time. Lydia is on in the chat room, and she says beautifully, and welcome to Primal, Lydia, says beautifully delivered. The pauses between your sentences are so impactful. Chris Townsend says, a freed heart has the courage to find another day deep. Shakira's in the house, another primally poetic poet, says, hey, Primal fam, hey, girl. And David says, love the theme of these poems. Yeah, absolutely. Such a sweet poem. Can't wait to hear the next one.
All right, so the next one is very different. This one is in honor of every day being Black History Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Although it is February 28th, so it's the last day of the month. I wrote this with 3 students back when I was principal at Weaver.
Oh,
wow. We sat down one day, we were just frustrated with the system. And this poem it's got racism in it. It's got stereotype in it. It's got truth in it. It's got a lot in it. But I just felt like this is a good one to read based upon where we are as a nation. And this is from me. It's 3 other students. We sat down and we read it. We used to do morning meetings at Weaver.
Yeah.
Read it to the whole student body one morning. And it was, just silence.
Really?
Over the cafeteria. And some teachers were upset because when you're hit with reality, truth, wondering, because in education, we keep everything at the surface. We don't go deep very often, especially in, urban schools. So I'm just going to read, and that's enough to start off.
Yes,
this is called A Principal's Story.
Okay.
Happy and smiling, baby clings to mother. Love between them like a radiant beam. Life is changing, grades are falling. Damn, she's only 15. Dad's in the hallway rapping with his brothers. The book, Life, they cover with shade. They converse about real life, study of the streets. That's where the money's to be made. Teachers and the principal, they drive nice cars, 3 square meals, and damn good pay. For them, it's all right at the end of the day. But students and families, they got bus cards, government food, second shift, third shift. Who's to say? Are these the conditions they're always going to stay? The corporate executives and upper middle class jockeys, billions of dollars right across the street. They have no idea or choose to ignore the life, the struggle that's trampled under their feet. College and career are said to be within reach, but skills are low, test scores lower, that damn gap with the burbs. The void is deep. Some may go, but few finish for the road. So damn steep. They weren't ready. The benefits of a college education might never reap. The story hurts. It's largely unspoken. The mayor, the superintendent, the principal, their words like worthless tokens. We've all come up in an education system that's broken. Where's the urgency? Where's the change? How much longer to pass the blame? Kids don't care. That's what teachers complain. Need to get up off our asses and take the reins. Read the text, do the knowledge. You don't want to? I don't either. But if we don't, if we stay dormant, the mistakes of today, all generations destined to repeat them. You just can't do it. Your core is set. You think, what will others say if I take the right steps? But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, none of it matters. You answer only to the man in the mirror. You are the one. Hard work can never give up. A commitment to know self, and then give to your neighbors. Grasp the truth, honor your word, dogged pursuit, a fresh start, inspired behaviors. The village must come together. It can start with you. Challenge yourself, your teachers, friends, and family. Start anew. Where's the urgency? Where's the change? Deep in your soul, waiting for the refrain. Ain't no one else to blame. Let it out, and your life will never be the same. Peace.
Oh my gosh, Tim, that was extraordinary. It just brought tears to my eyes. And the village started with you, by the way. That's where the village started. It brought tears to my eyes thinking about you as the principal with these students writing this piece. And it still, you know, obviously resonates to this day, and what the power behind it, in between it, or surrounding it. And the fact that you did that with those kids and they looked up to you to share that moment with them. How often do administrators even do that, are even on the level of the kids, so that they can feel that importance, so that they can have that confidence? Just remarkable. And the piece was amazing, but just the feeling that I got, just the fact that you did it, was even more overwhelming than the actual words in the poem to me. So much more significant. But great poem.
Yeah, that piece spoke to me personally. I don't really have much else to say on that. There's just, it definitely holds weight. It's a very weighty piece. It calls back to my education, you know, and just how growing up we would see a lot of different students struggling for different reasons, and having teachers not fully fulfill their role as, you know, educators and edifiers. So yeah, that definitely stuck a personal core.
Absolutely.
I'd like to piggyback off of Obasaki's musings. For me, it's personal, but in a different way. Oftentimes I talk with my mother, and she's an educator, has been for a while. And so, you know, the plight of the system, and when it's broken, and how it doesn't work, and how do you fix that? Yeah, that really stood out. Stark of, you know, the supposed future of classmates versus what was in the streets versus the administration. Wow.
Yeah. So moving and powerful. Let's see what's going on in the chat room. To the last piece, Queen D had said that you read, Tim. She said that the freed heart has the courage to see another day. So profound. Just wanted to add that. Chris Townsend says, it took me back to high school. Shakira, who is a 8th grade teacher, says a call to action for all stakeholders. David says powerful. Why are the grades falling? Are colleges really within reach? Get up, stand up for your rights. Don't give up the fight. Absolutely. Yes, Bob. Donna says, exposure of the educational system. Thank you for telling them. Beautiful poem. That's right. Expose what's happening. Very important. It's what we do here too with our poetry. Expose so much of what's happening in all facets. Lydia says, wow, as an educator, this message is simply a reminder that one can influence many. With great power, we have a responsibility. Well said. Terrain, hey, Sister Terrain, says, where is the urgency? Wow. A statement we should all be asking. Wow. Queen D says, just the exercise of giving the students a voice to speak truth to power is so powerful. Giving the administration a lesson. Well done. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Someone else is writing. I'll read their comment when we come back. Just
last thing I'll say is the exposure is what we wanted to do. We wanted to expose, and that's what the students wanted to do. And that's why when we did share that, I mean, we were already exposing it throughout the 2 years or 3 years I was there, but to read that out loud to the entire school was powerful. It really was. And the exposure, when people get exposed, they get quiet and they sort of hide off, or they try to deflect. But yeah, our whole point was just to expose, and that's the first step to change, is to expose.
Yeah. And I won't go much into it, but Tim is a beacon for change since then. And he has his own school in the greater Hartford area doing wonderful things. We could just go on forever. And he's practicing what he's preaching for sure. And we thank you. The community thanks you, Tim.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Let's get into our next. Let's see. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Chris?
Yes.
You want to go next?
I'll go next.
All right. Volunteer. I like that.
Okay, so the first of two is entitled Job. Ever heard the story of a man called Job? No, there was a man of God doing what he had been told, living life big, broad, and bold. He was patient and kind, always had the teachings on his mind. And then he started to lose everything. Things all around him began to fall. Job put his back against the wall. His faith strapped him up, keeping him tall. In different events, his lands were raided, servants pillaged and killed. His wife and all his children would die. It pained, he would not, but he would not curse the Lord, and he knew that in his mind's eye. Job cursed his own birth, but never the maker of the earth. He wanted that day lost forever, just so his creator would not for him have had to suffer. His wife said to curse God and die, but even having lost everything, his body scarred and pained, he chose to remain with God as his domain, knowing that there would be another chance to gain. His faith was not misplaced. He had served the Lord and was shone upon with grace. His wealth to him returned several-fold, a new wife and 10 children to help him with the load. Believe what you are told. Stand firm against the machinations of the devil, and the Almighty God Jehovah will always be your anvil.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, you like that, A. Lopez? Are you like,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely love that. Yeah. That was good. That was good. And of course, I like that hit at the end.
Yeah. Yes. You made me think about how you talked in reference to the parent-child relationship. That's what you kind of made me see in this poem. that same bond with him and God and wanting to please him. That's how I felt. It was beautifully done, creatively written as usual. And then that last line kind of ties the whole thing up with like the red bow, as you always do. Like, I don't know how they're crafted so well, meticulously, but amazingly done.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else before we go to the chat room? Okay. So there's another comment, sorry, that's based on Tim's poem. I'll read back. My mom says, I want the chat to know that Tim has started Community First School in one of the poorest neighborhoods in Hartford to change the landscape, putting his money where his mouth is. Absolutely. She goes on to say, in reference to your poem, Chris, faith is not misplaced, words to remember. That stood out to me as well. Faith. I was talking about faith earlier today. Donna says, excellent message, faithful servant of God. And David says, the theme continues. New wife, just be patient. Thank you guys for your comments as usual. All right, you can start your next piece when you're ready. Thank you.
This one is untitled.
Okay.
She reached out to me. Well, not to me specifically. She wanted someone to prevent her from doing harm to her body. She didn't think she had anybody, not even members of her immediate family. She felt alone, and her thoughts kept taking her back to a suicidal zone. Not a nice feeling to be all alone. Hence, she reached out on the phone. I was at the desk, a little tired, a little stressed. But when the call came, it made me feel a lot of shame. She shouted her claim, wouldn't tell me her name. She said she was ashamed and had decided to accept the blame, end her life of pain. It was a drain on my body and soul, as for near 24 hours, I tried to make her whole. Not so much whole, but getting her to not let go, to accept that even in pain, one can still grow. I heard her groan, and several times she put down the phone. Each of those minutes was an eternity, as I knew there was no certainty of continuity. With each of her return, it made my heart less burn. My anxiety about her despair washed me in a certain fear. What if all I said was not enough, and her call, her claim was not a bluff? It made me tremble deep inside, but I knew my fear I would have to hide. It made me weak, sometimes violently shaking feet. But I knew I had to do it. And I felt my faith grow strong, arming me to carry on. Each pause from her was a respite for me, as I didn't know how long we would be. After many hours, feeling like days, she finally started to escape her maze. She told me her name and began her story all over again. Patience is a virtue I have come to find, and it can also help to bring peace of mind. She promised that our talk had been enough, that she was now stronger and would be tough. For me, I told her that was fine. For me, I told her that was not fine, and insisted she get someone else on the line. Her best friend was receptive, never questioned the late night call interrupting her sleeping. I listened in for what seemed a long time, and when satisfied, disconnected the line.
This is like I'm so shocked here because this is like a poster board way in which you would deal with someone with suicidal ideation and you put it in a poem. I'm just flabbergasted. I'm like, I just don't even know how you did it. Even the pausing, the active listening, the pausing when they're talking, not letting them go. You're giving your faith and letting her try to borrow a piece of your faith. 45,000 people a year in this country only die of suicide a year. It's one of the top 10 causes of death. I think it's the 10th. And people don't realize, and it's so real. And this poem just like really brought it all home in a intense and very personal and beautiful way. Mm-hmm. Wow, my gosh. Anybody else?
Yeah, shock.
Yeah.
It was very, when especially when you're describing a young lady's almost willingness to just give up, it was a very bleak moment. But then you kind of went from that valley to the mountaintop of hope. It was well done, sir, as per usual.
Yeah.
I'm still just having trouble. You just want to sit there and let it resonate. Yeah, it was very good. Very good.
That was heavy. That was a heavy piece. I'm still processing it. But the level of empathy expressed in that piece was something that I think a lot of people don't understand. To be a listening ear in those situations is really, a lot of times, that's all that's required. A lot of people don't want to do that because they feel like they're taking on somebody else's burdens, but really to be a pressure release valve of sorts in those situations works tremendously. Just to like relieve that, have somebody listen to you so they can relieve that stress is a lot of times all that's needed. And the calmness in which he delivered and the way that he illustrated the entire situation was such that Chris, if I ever need somebody to call, man, I would definitely pick up the phone and call you.
So true. So true.
And just to say,
go ahead.
That poem was inspired by actual events.
Oh, we could tell. We could tell. I didn't even want to ask because I could feel it. I think we all could, but it's so personal. You wouldn't even want to. I mean, like he said, it's a process. I'm still processing it myself. Let's see what the chat room is saying. Queen D says, how blessed she was to get you on the phone. Awesome piece. There's a place in heaven set aside for you. Now, please don't make me cry up here. I'm trying to hold it together so much. I am I'm hanging by one thread. So if somebody says anything, I will turn into tears. There is a place in heaven set aside for you. Donna says, the title should be The Overcomer. Very telling. Simia is listening in. Hey. Terrain says, even in pain, one can still grow. Well said. Shakira says, this is one of those pieces you need to see in print to fully process and understand. Yeah. Chris Townsend says, Professor Castriota does it again. Powerful. Thanks. I needed that laugh. For real, I did. David says, from Job to this, your experiences have helped you tremendously, poet and counselor. Very moving. And I recall this time in your life. In our life, I think you said? Yes, in our life.
Yes.
My goodness. There's one more comment about to pop through. I might have to just read it after. Thank you again, Chris. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Urban Legend, you are up. Last but not least.
Okay. I was gonna do two pieces today. In honor of Black History Month, I suppose. The two I was going to do, I don't know. Tim actually kind of changed that. I was going to do a couple from memory, but with what Tim just did, I wanted to kind of like piggyback off of that. So this first one is going to be dedicated to Tim.
Awesome.
Babies born in the service of siring sirens. You hear them wailing in the back? Cries of a species under attack, endangered due to the dominance of the blue dominion revoking their growth, invoking wrath mixed with malice, inventing reasons to exclude rational intervention sent to serve a sentence at institutions of indoctrination, undergoing observation inside miseducation camps. Closet hydroponics. Decades of life deprived of light will turn angels demonic. Sunflowers, looking down on themselves, spit shells over bags of green as their seedlings repeat the cycle. Pray tell how we fell for this psychotic downward spiral. Graffiti, written on the wall, colorful words taken out of context, obtuse and convex, modern hieroglyphics recording the history of the condemned and convicts, convinced the hierarchy is hiring the hierarchists in the ladder of literacy, but that literally wasn't in the literature. Omission, the mission of the book's revision. The curriculum I was learning from created to keep me dumb. I comprehend the language in the text they sent to us. Read it while sitting on the back of the city bus, riding down Rosa Parks Boulevard, unironically unaware of what it meant for me to achieve more than those who died bettering things. Our veteran kings, product of the tomfoolery my environment was schooling me, circulating the syllabi of lies, so I have the wrong supplies. Mild appreciation minus the preparation led to the depreciation of a generation. But I had dedicated educators that defied the deans and provosts that postponed my erudite edification. Science and philosophy create psychology, same oncology that finds tumors can't tell me how systemic cancer kills my sense of humor. Funny that blowhards would try to blow the head off a man named Martin rather than to listen to his thoughts. The dream of a human being must have been Martian if his mind was too alien for mankind. Wait, that's sci-fi, crafted from the love of hating people of color. When mathematics meets the alphabet, that's algebra. But you know what doesn't add up? Too many variables unaccounted for and various theoretical barriers being kept parenthetical only to get ignored. How the heck is Malcolm gonna solve for X when his future was hexed before he found a solution? Convoluted paradox polluted the veritas of the verities, causing a confusing conclusion. That's why people barely show his work and always mention Martin's first. It's crazy. Because when you're American, you speak English, but Italian and any Spanish is foreign speech. If all roads lead to Rome, then it's all Greek to me. That's why sometimes I use Japanese. Wakarimasu ka? Chotto mate. Nanda kotai. Kinishinai. Naturally nappy, folk want to know if I'm actually happy, but I'm actively adapting to being outside of my comfort zone. Born alone, many moons away from my natural home. Economics socially shared my salary as the reason being that I can't earn anything. Though I learned a thing or two about how to get back to my roots. Studying high fantasy and chemistry is me practicing alchemy, attempting to transmute the lead that led me here into gold for my peers before those that hold firearms that led fires from try to transform me into a mural that eventually disappears. Giving back is equivalent exchange. I'm just a man trying to change things for the better with syllables, syntax, rhymes, and rhythm together with letters. I only ask that you listen in reference to the mentors I mentioned. That's that piece.
Oh gosh.
Crazy flow. And this one, and this is the one talking about my use of wordplay. Come on.
He had every literary form in there.
You be kidding me. This dude was, oh, wow.
I mean, when I think of the meaning of... Go ahead.
Here's a question. Sorry, here's a question for you. You went into Japanese for a hot second. Can you translate what you said?
Wakarimasu ka? That means, do you understand?
Right.
Chotomate means, wait a minute. Nandakotai means, what was I saying? And then, Kinishinade means, never mind.
Oh my God, so awesome. Amazing. You know, when you see something, or, I mean, you have an experience that's kind of like a spiritual experience, and it's so beautiful. You don't know if you want to cry, laugh, or that's actually what I was going through here. I was looking around thinking, do I have tissue? I feel like something's going to happen. I have goosebumps. I'm on the edge of my seat. It was just a thrill. And there's so much, everything you said, the truth of it all, the historical preciseness of it. It's just, I mean, that's dramatic monologue right there, like times 1,000, times 1,000,000,000. Amazing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's unreal talent. I hope this does you justice, and it's not an insult, but that's like, I'm a basketball fan. That's like watching a Ja Morant highlight video. That was amazing. That's just amazing work. So talented.
Thank you.
I can't even. Wow.
Right.
And your flow, your flow is unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
It is.
And
thank you so much.
The way you switch languages, really something. It reminded me of a clip I saw recently of a reporter who did a report coming out of the Ukraine in 7 different languages. No, he didn't know someone spliced them all together and showed him doing them, and he just went seamlessly from one language to the other, just like a while ago.
Amazing. So let's get to the chat, because you still have one poem to go, and it's getting close to our end time here. So much fun we've been having tonight. Terrain went back to the curriculum, saying the curriculum I learned was created to keep me, talking about your poem, sorry. The curriculum I learned from was created to keep me dumb. Damn, powerful. That line right there just, again, sucked the life out of me. King Kong is in the building, says, well done to everybody. Thank you. Yes, they are doing an amazing job. Shakira says, I need this poem to teach my kiddos about cognates. Okay, all right. Simia says, absolute fire. Deb says, awesome poems, team. The tone, the emotions, the expressions, the memories, all coming alive in these poems. Hey, Debs. Yes, indeed, I agree. And Riri says, she says hi to everybody. And Queen D says, true urban legend, omission of the books, revision so profound, and the delivery is amazing. Absolutely. All right, your last piece, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to use this one to close out. I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as possible. It's another long one, but again, last day in Black History Month, so.
Yes, let it ride, let it ride. Thank you.
I woke up with a thought. Some would call it bedhead, but I call it napping roots, a napping knowledge of what was to follow soon. For every morning, my head goes against the grain of staying cute, refuses to cater to the curated do I paid for or prepped the day before I slept. Every day, spray my hair so it sets, inhaling aerosol cans of regret, also it doesn't regress and have me out here looking like a savage, because that's not the look of the lavish, who sees the boldness my beauty supplies as below average. These lumberjacks brought my elder trees across the seas and told them their leaves needed a wavy texture, which led to the deforestation of a nation of a Bantu, displaced with no way of reaching back to their Ubuntu culture, created to be taken for granted, forgotten, by history in the making, inherited every traumatic experience my genealogy generated, denigrated by those who design society for themselves to be venerated, putting the lower class and the higher ups of humanity at odds, but they're not the gods, they're of the God. Human beings bathed in their privilege, man made in his image, who made a way to manifest a detestable destiny, not a man-made deity. Their ideas exist in mythology, rewriting monotheology, theologically embodying the identity of an entity they can't identify with. Quick to cancel a culture by parting party lines, keeping great divides asymmetrical, bob and weave with even hypotheticals. So by extension, people receive bald-faced lies, while their heirs recede and believe whatever left their ends split, to the point we shout out praise whenever we get our wings clipped. Skeptical of thinking they were ever special. I am a living ancestor, descendant of those that came before, originated from a land I've never seen, being born to accomplish more. My hair defies gravity, a folly found in my follicles, the roots of which extend beyond my scalp and are buried in my ancestral memory. Beneath the untold history, my DNA relays what these coils couldn't confine, a mind defined by the ever-expanding reach toward divinity, outward and upward, growing towards the heavens, a head heavy with the weighty burdens of old, resting on cold shoulders, solar-powered crown to melt those frosted frowns, anchoring us down, creating a royal resin that matures melanin. My heritage isn't taboos of twisted kinks to dread. It's the succession of the dead who lived long enough to plant the seeds that eventually seeded me, who saw what my family couldn't see. Would rather me cut my connection to the community than see me get tangled in its debauchery. But that's not the way I see things. Just because it's stained doesn't mean it's unclean. Our seedlings are said to be weeds and poison for the sake of making more green, but that's due to a yellow-bellied dandy lion trying to whitewash our thoughts and condition us to bleach our winds. I mean, the sins of our skin. I might gain migraines from all the pain my soul's endured, but I won't rest until I'm rest assured. If we braid every strand together into Bantu knots to prove that when we band together, our bond holds tighter than our past forgot, then the gift of our future will be a present where our presence isn't bought or sold. Instead, it will stand the test of time. And looking back, we'll see our Afro sheen was always destined to shine. And that's it.
It was. The Afro sheen was always destined to shine. Thank you for highlighting our historical significance and contributions to this world and our love. Absolutely. It's all embodied in every stitch of what you read. So felt it all. Amazing, amazing piece of work.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And the delivery again, and your use of like all the literary terms that we use in poetry, like all there, just crazy. Anybody else before we hit the chat?
I know that part of the poem that stuck out to me was when he was using, there was a gradient. There was hair, and then there was baldness, and there was the juxtaposition of different thoughts. It was, yeah. And this is the guy who sits here and tries to tell me about my word usage. Man,
yeah.
Come on, legend. You're killing me, man. Killing me.
Tim, you had your off mute.
I was just gonna say, you talk about defying gravity. I thought that was beautiful. You defy gravity with your work. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Yes. Went down to the hair follicle, okay, with that one. So really quickly, I just wanted to say, the gentleman after me, Ras Manga, does Nature's Table. He's up next, and he is enjoying the poetry. So he's not tapping his foot. He's having a great time with us, and he actually has a show called Bust Them Big, where he features poets. And so we will be collaborating at some point this month. So there'll be more on that. Just wanted to drop that in before we go to the chat room. Queen D says, a history lesson for Black History Month. We are grateful. And Riri says, wow, deep, snap, snap, snap. And Queen D says, Afro Sheen was always destined to shine. Amen. And we will actually leave on that note. All right. Thank you again, guys, so very much. An honor and a pleasure as always. Take it easy. Have a wonderful night. Peace. Stay tuned for Ross Manga right now on Primal.